everyone. Welcome back to True Crime Buzz. I'm your host, Brittany, and with me, as always, is Amber.
Hello.
So what are you drinking this evening?
Bitch, you can see what I'm drinking.
I can't because we're recording together in person. Yes.
For the first time ever.
Yes, it's amazing.
And we're in a cabin, so the sound was horrible. So now we're in a blanket fort, the true 12-year-olds that we are.
With like a luggage rack and one of those privacy screens and 2 blankets.
Yep.
It's real special.
And our alcohol.
I am drinking alcohol tonight. Amber insisted that I drink for this episode.
I insist that anyone listening to this episode either at least be sitting down and preferably with a drink in your hand that contains alcohol, because it's a rough one. But anyways.
It is.
Why don't you go first since you never drink and tell everyone what you're drinking.
I am drinking my favorite beer, who I can never find. And my sweet Amber found it for me. It is Catawba Brewing Peanut Butter Jelly Time.
Peanut Butter Jelly Time.
It tastes like raspberry jelly. It's so good.
And I think everyone knows what I'm drinking. Rex Goliath. Right out of a coffee cup because I couldn't find a good wine glass here, so.
What? The ones here weren't like a nice weight or what?
I like a nice big wine glass, like a big one. I want to be able to pour at least half the bottle into one serving, and it just wasn't big enough. So I was like, you know what, it'll help me out, a coffee mug.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, so do you have a personal true crime story of the week?
I do. I just want to take this moment to apologize to the sweet people of Cracker Barrel where I live, because COVID has spoiled me, as y'all know, which is a horrible thing to say. It's a pandemic. Like, people got sick, people died. But I am so spoiled now because I almost won't eat anywhere that doesn't have online ordering and or curbside.
Yeah.
I'm just spoiled. I don't want to talk to anybody and I don't want to go inside. So Sam and I, it was Sunday, we were craving that good fried chicken, and I was like, I'll do Cracker Barrel. And we usually do curbside. And I went on the app to do it. It said, online ordering is down at the moment. You'll have to call.
Right.
And I said, oh, all right, I'll call. I don't want to, but I will. And I called and placed my order. And then I got there and was like, I'm here for curbside. And the guy goes, what's the name? And I told him my name. And I said, but I haven't paid yet because I did it over the phone. Can you take my payment? And he said, no, you're going to have to come in. And I was like, there's no way at all you can take my payment, like, at all. And he said, no, ma'am, you're going to have to come in. I was not prepared. I was in leggings and a big baggy t-shirt with no bra on, like, mismatched shoes. My hair was a mess, no makeup.
So just me on a Monday.
It's me on most days, but, you know, when you're in your home, it's one thing. When you're out in the public on a Sunday at Cracker Barrel.
In the South.
That was a true crime right there.
Wow.
And I am just so sorry to anyone who had to witness that.
I think they probably enjoyed it. Like,
I mean, maybe.
They probably thought you were like a single mom of 6.
That's what I looked like.
No offense to those single moms of 6. Y'all holding it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your true crime this week? Or do you have any?
I do, and it's today, and it's called I Styled My Hair Wonderfully, and then we came to Tennessee, where the humidity is through the roof, and my hair has not held a style. It's doing what it wants to do, and Tennessee's just getting me as I am.
Well, and it's been thunderstorming. Like, the humidity is like 99.9%.
Oh, it's rough.
To be real.
So. It's like you walk out the door and just feel wet, you know?
Yep. Welcome to the South in the summer.
Mm-hmm. So, tell me the story that I made to drink for tonight.
Are you ready?
Well, no, I'm not ready.
My name's Amber. I'm about to ruin your day if you're listening.
Yes.
And I'm pre-apologizing ahead of time. However, this is still an open case, and you and I both are here for open cases. We want them to get solved.
Absolutely.
I just want peace for families at the end of the day. So, do I want to tell this story? No. Did I want to research this? God, no. It legit gave me nightmares, and I'll get into that later. Let me just say that up front. Trigger warning. Pretty much every true crime subject matter you can think of, aside from animal cruelty, is in today's story.
And Amber asked if she could tell the story, because you guys know how I am about kids. but it's one that she had mentioned from the CrimeCon episode that she would cover, and I felt like we needed to cover it even if it like ruins my entire day. So we're doing it.
Today's story is absolutely devastating and heartbreaking, to say the least, but it has so many twists and turns that I'm legit surprised Jerry Springer never got involved. It's one of those. So before I get started, since you don't know much about the story,
yes,
I want to get your initial take of this family portrait of the Powell family.
Oh my god, they're so cute.
So, like, what do you think of that picture?
I mean, they look like a really happy family. Those little boys are precious. Like, the mom seems super happy. I feel like the dad didn't want to take a family photo, but what dad does, you know, that sort of deal.
So, everyone in that picture is dead, and one of them is still missing.
Do what?
Yes. It's assumed that everyone in that picture is dead, but one of them we don't know because one is missing.
Wow.
So that was a picture of the Powell family. In 2009, Joshua Powell's wife, Susan Cox Powell, went missing, and less than 3 years later, he would end up murdering their 2 children, Braden and Charlie, followed by his own suicide. While there are lots of horrific details surrounding the Powell family that have since come to light, Susan's body has still never been found. So much happens in the story, and it's so unexpected, like you're going to get emotional whiplash, if anything else.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with Susan, because that is the person at the center of this story. Susan Cox Powell was born on October 16th, 1981, in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and was the 3rd daughter of parents Charles and Judy Cox. The family lived in Alaska for a little while, but then later settled in Puyallup, Washington, while Susan was still young. Susan was described as happy, full of life, very determined, positive, just a genuinely amazing human being. Susan was raised in a very positive and religious household, specifically Mormonism.
Okay.
So she attended the Church of Latter-day Saints with her family every week. And this is actually how she met her future husband, Joshua Powell. They were both students taking courses at the LDS Church Institute of Religion in Tacoma, Washington, and met at a dinner party that Josh was hosting at his apartment in November of 2000. After that, the two started dating and very quickly got married just 5 months later.
Wow.
On April 6, 2001, at the Portland, Oregon Temple.
No judgment. Matt and I got married after a month of dating, so...
Oh yeah, no judgment at all. None.
No.
They were in love. They were very in love by all accounts. So about Josh. Joshua Powell was born on January 20th, 1976 in Puyallup, Washington, to parents Stephen and Terica Powell. And that was a very dysfunctional, unhappy family.
Oh.
Complete opposite of Susan's.
Okay.
Apparently the parents had a horrible marriage. They would end up divorcing when Josh was around 16. According to those divorce documents and statements from their own family members, Josh's dad, Stephen, spoiler alert, he plays a pivotal role in this story.
Okay.
He has always been addicted to pornography.
Oh.
And even so much to the point where he would watch it and teach it to his kids.
Dude, like making them?
No, not making them do anything with each other, just making it like a normal part of life.
Like they'd sit down to watch cartoons, but instead it was porn.
You got it.
That is wild and weird and very inappropriate.
And he had an addiction, and that was a huge part of why they got divorced. Because
I am sure.
I mean, you have these kids, you have your husband's teaching them things that you don't agree with yourself. Like, there's a time and place for it, and it's not with children.
No, good for you, Terica.
Yes. Also in these same documents, it said that Joshua allegedly killed gerbils belonging to one of his sisters, threatened his mother with a butcher knife, and had at least one suicide attempt.
Holy cow, you were wrong. It did have animal cruelty.
Oh, you're right. My bad. Sorry, guys. I forgot about that. It's the only part, though.
Whew.
Several members of Susan's family described Josh as very loud, very overbearing. He was always right, and he loved to talk about himself. Like, he just loved to be the center of attention and was a know-it-all.
He was, like, full of himself. Thought he was, like, God's gift to the world.
Yes.
Okay.
So the family was not too keen about Susan marrying Josh, but, you know, you're young, you're in love, you think you know it all.
Right.
And after Josh and Susan got married, they initially moved in with Josh's dad, Stephen, in South Hill, Washington.
Okay.
And is correct.
Well, I mean, like, just what we know about Stephen so far, I'm like, fuck Stephen, don't do it.
Just you wait, girlfriend. Why don't you take another sip before we go any further?
Okay.
And I will too, because it gets rough. Josh earned his bachelor's degree in business and worked as a real estate agent while Susan worked as a cosmetologist. She loved hair and makeup. And she was really good at it.
Girl, same.
Yes. But Susan's true dreams were becoming a mother and having a family.
Same.
Yep. So almost as quickly as they got married, they started their family shortly after the move. They had 2 sons, Charlie, who was born in 2005, and Braden, who was born in 2007.
Aww.
Adorable.
Oh, so cute.
Adorable
like
little boys.
The picture you just showed me, they are precious.
They are. Susan's sisters and close friends thought that they had the perfect marriage and the perfect family life, but that's only because that's what Susan wanted everyone to think. You know, you can keep up appearances for so long.
Yeah, you can. And I mean, a lot of people that are in bad relationships want you to think that it's the perfect.
Yes.
For safety or pride, whatever reason.
But slowly over time, the true details of their relationship would come out. Josh and Susan were constantly fighting, and he even shoved her at least on one occasion.
Oh, no.
Friends and family close to Susan said that she was even starting to seek out a divorce lawyer and asking about what her legal options were in regards to the kids. So she was getting to her breaking point of moving on.
Understandably so.
But on the morning of Monday, December 7th, 2009, Charlie and Braden's daycare grew concerned when the boys weren't dropped off like usual. And so they tried to call Josh and Susan and couldn't get a hold of either one. So I guess next on the list for like emergency contacts, they reached out to Josh's mom, Terica, just to be like, hey, just checking in because normally they drop the kids off and we can't get a hold of them.
Right.
Terica and Josh's sister, Jennifer, tried to get a hold of them and they couldn't either. And they found out that neither one of them showed up to work that day.
Oh, snap.
So they went to the house, noticed the door was locked, and nobody would answer. And there weren't any tracks in the snow showing that any vehicles had come or gone in the driveway, because it was wintertime. They got really concerned, so they decided to call 911. They called 911 at 9:53 a.m., asking if they could come break into the home and make sure that they were okay, or if they were even there.
Right, yeah.
So the police showed up and they said, look, you know, we're not allowed to just like bust the door down, but we can break a window and get inside if you will take responsibility for it.
Right.
And they said, absolutely, we will pay for whatever and fix whatever if you can just get in. We're scared.
Yeah, good for them.
So police busted open the window, looked inside, and immediately saw 2 box fans blowing on a freshly cleaned couch, and Susan's purse and her keys were in the bedroom. Nobody was there. West Valley City Police Detective Ellis Maxwell said that when investigators first entered the home, other than that, there weren't any signs of disturbance or a physical altercation. It was like they had just left.
Except for, you said
Except for the purse and the keys were there.
Okay.
Police attempted to call Josh numerous times, but he never answered. Then they got a call from one of Susan's friends, Giovanna Owings, saying that she had somehow gotten through to him and said, hey, everyone's worried about you guys. You need to come home.
Yeah.
She was actually the last person to see Susan alive other than her own family. Whoa. She had come over the day before just to hang out with Susan.
Yeah.
She said everything seemed normal. The boys were playing in the floor with like their cars, you know. Josh made her pancakes for dinner. And then she said after she ate the pancakes, she said she was tired. She wanted to go lay down. This was around 5 p.m. And Josh said, why don't you go lay down? I'm going to take the boys sledding, and basically kind of forced Giovanna out the door.
Yeah.
She said, you know, everything seemed normal other than
like
that.
Him, like making her leave.
Yes. Yeah. So police called Josh again and are finally able to get a hold of him and is like, hey, where you at? You need to get home immediately.
Right.
They said, neither one of you reported to work. The kids were not reported to daycare. What's going on? You need to get home. We need to talk to you. He gets off the phone with police, still goes to Susan's work to pick her up, and even left a voicemail on her phone saying, hey, I'm out front waiting on you. Come out when you're ready.
What the hell?
Like, police just told you she didn't report to work.
Right.
Why are you not coming straight home and going to her work to pick her up? It was bullshit.
Yeah, no, that's some craziness.
So, around 5 p.m., Josh finally shows up, pulls in the driveway along with Charlie and Braden, but no Susan. Josh said he took the boys camping overnight and that Susan should be in the house where he left her. However, this is a Monday. It was a school night.
And there was snow. I know people go camping in the snow, but I wouldn't go camping in the snow with 2 little kids.
It was a snowstorm. There was snow everywhere, and I even, because this is who I am as a person, I even went and looked up the weather for where they lived on that date.
Yeah.
And the low that night was 16 degrees.
Oh, no. Mm-mm. Nope.
You're going to get your kids out and go camping in a snowstorm?
On a school night.
On a school night.
No.
And leave your wife at home. Okay. Susan's best friend, Kiersey Hallowell, was quoted as saying, Susan would have never allowed him to take the boys out in the winter into the desert in the middle of the night. Never. I never believed his story at all.
Yeah, I don't either. And I don't even know fucking Joshua Powell.
It turns out that Josh had Susan's cell phone in his van.
Haha!
Which, 2 things are weird. First off, you're calling your wife to tell her you're picking her up from work, but you have her phone. Second off, the SIM card was removed.
Of course it was.
And when questioned about this, Josh was never able to explain it. He was just like, I don't know. Police also searched the house, where they found a generator, blankets, a gas canister, tarps, and a shovel. Which, when you go camping, those sound like normal things.
Right.
But needless to say, everything seemed real suspicious. Josh seemed to just be very nonchalant about the whole thing. Like, I don't know, Susan should be at work. Or she should be at the house. Like, he was just way too calm about everything. Josh was immediately taken to West Valley City Police Department for questioning. And this is his official story. He said around 12:30 to 1:30 in the morning, he decided to take Charlie and Braden camping. So he drove them to Simpson Springs Campground in the middle of Utah's western desert, which is a 2-hour drive away, in the middle of a snowstorm. And he said Susan didn't go because she was tired. And when asked where Susan was, he just kept saying she should be at work. I don't know.
Okay. All right then, buddy.
So then police say, okay, Josh, well, why did you keep refusing to answer your cell phone? Like, why did it take us so long to get a hold of you? He said he didn't have a charger with him and that he was just trying to conserve the battery. But a detective noticed he had a phone charger in the center console in the van he was driving.
Of course he did.
Police also interviewed little Charlie, and he confirmed that they did go camping that night, but he says the whole family went.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He said, quote, Mommy was in the van, but didn't come back with us. And also said, quote, my mom stayed where the crystals are.
Dude, what?
Yeah. So those are some pretty damning, but like very cryptic comments.
Well, yeah.
Like, what does he talk about crystals? But also like, so she went with you, but didn't come back.
Yeah. I feel like no kid at 6 or 7 is going to get that wrong. Like,
right.
If somebody went with you and they didn't come. I mean, that's a pretty simple fact.
Yeah. And it's hard to know for sure what's true and what's not, because he also said things like that they took an airplane to go camping, which is very obviously not true.
But I honestly feel like this sounds like a kid that's been traumatized and is
Yes.
just like trying to make some sort of story that lets him be okay, you know?
Agreed. So about after an hour of questioning, they let Josh and the boys go home with the plan of a scheduled interview for the next morning.
Okay.
Like, look, it's been a weird day. Go home and get some rest. Let's start fresh tomorrow. West Valley City Police Detective Ellis Maxwell said that they did not have enough probable cause for a search warrant for the van or the house at the time.
Which they had.
Right. The next day, initially that morning, Susan's mother and sister came over to check on Josh and just kind of be like, you know, what's going on? What can we do? He was furiously cleaning the house from top to bottom. He had a scheduled interview, but he was 4 hours late. And when they asked him why, he said, I don't know, I just lost track of time. He was busy cleaning the house, which he never cleaned.
I already know.
Yeah.
Like, how could anyone not know? I mean, you know, might not know the specifics, but we know that this motherfucker killed his wife. Like
you just get the worst feeling from this guy, and we're not even scratching the surface of this story.
Oh my God.
So he did show up for the interview very late. They read him his rights, but basically every question they asked was just a bunch of, I don't know. Like, they got nowhere with him, so they just eventually let him go later that day. And all of these interviews are online on YouTube. You can find them very easy. They're long.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when he's being questioned, he just seems like he just doesn't give two shits.
Ugh.
Police did eventually temporarily seize the van that he drove the kids to go camping in while he was being questioned. But what's even more strange is that Josh rented a car and within 2 days drove it 800 miles and bought a new cell phone and activated it somewhere near the Utah-Idaho border. Who drives 800 miles in 2 days?
I mean, unless you do it for work, you know what I'm saying? But clearly he doesn't.
No. On Wednesday, December 9th, 2009, police did get the search warrant and they started looking into every nook and cranny of the Powell home. They didn't find much as far as physical evidence because obviously he had cleaned it. Mm-hmm. The only thing they really found were teeny tiny blood droplets next to the couch.
Oh, just the couch that had been cleaned and was drying with fans.
Correct. In interviews that I saw with the police that worked on the case, they believe that he strangled her to death because the blood droplets were so tiny.
Right.
That it's almost like when you're gasping for air, the blood spatter from that. I don't know. Nobody knows.
No, I mean, there's no time.
But that was their guess. They also discovered a safety deposit box at the Wells Fargo bank that Susan worked at that belonged to her that nobody knew about. In this safety deposit box was a handwritten will and testament dated June 28th, 2008. In this, she wrote in detail about how bad their marriage was and how Josh had taken out a $1 million life insurance policy on her. At the top of it, it said, quote, "For family and friends of Susan, all except Josh Powell, husband. I don't trust him, !"
Oh my God.
And then it goes on to say, I'm not shitting you, quote, "If I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one."
That is ominous as fuck.
Isn't it? Props to her, though. If she knew an inkling that this guy was coming for her and her children, I mean, kudos for her for trying to have some sort of trail should something happen.
Yeah, then that's impressive.
Because most people don't have that.
No, because a lot of times you don't see it coming. Obviously,
right.
She did. Unfortunately, I wish she could have clearly gotten away before. But
yeah. There was also a home video that she took where she documented all of the family assets in the home. And that is very common for insurance policies.
Home insurance, yeah.
So in it, she's going through the house, like, here's our computer, here's our TV, here's our jewelry. But at the very end of it, she says, quote, "Covering all my bases, making sure that if something happens to me or my family or all of us, that our assets are documented. I hope everything works out and we're all happy and live happily ever after, as much as that's possible." And at the very end, when she's saying that, she's like rolling her eyes back, like,
"Oh no."
Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by AZOTH. AZOTH is a Boston-based women-owned supplement company that makes premium quality supplements for women with the mission to help people reach their highest potential without the harmful side effects of over-the-counter medications. Their newest supplement, Boss Flow, is a PMS gummy that helps every woman be a boss no matter what day of the month it is. These little gummies are packed full with a delicious blast of strawberry flavor and powerful vitamins and nutrients to help soothe menstrual cramps, stop bloating, and balance out hormonal mood swings and acne symptoms that are often caused by periods. Trust us, we've heard these really work. Boss Flow is exclusively offering our listeners 10% off your next purchase by going to Amazon.com, searching for Boss Flow gummies, and using the code BOSSFLOW. That's code BOSSFLOW to get 10% off your purchase at checkout. You need to have an Amazon or Amazon Prime account to get these delicious gummies. Order Boss Flow, supplements for boss women on the go.
Police also searched the Simpson Springs campground where Josh said he went camping, but found zero evidence that Josh and the kids were even there. And just 10 days after Susan went missing, Josh filed paperwork to withdraw money from her retirement account. 10 days.
Holy
missing.
cow.
No body found, nothing, just missing. So police officially declared Josh Powell a person of interest, but he has never been charged in Susan's disappearance. The district attorney for Salt Lake County refused to file charges without a body until a full year had passed, which sounds crazy, I know, but it is hard. What did I say that one time? No body, no crime.
That's right.
It is hard to convict anybody with no body, but also Elizabeth Smart, that that whole case.
Yeah.
That was like 9 months of her being missing, and so they thought, we don't want to treat anything too early. Should she show back up? You don't know.
Well, too, that gives time to investigate further, look at any evidence, and really build a case.
Meanwhile, family and friends of Susan gathered outside their church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Hunter Central Stake Center, to sing hymns and pray that Susan comes home safe. Josh did attend, and he did appear upset, crying and whatnot, but he refused to speak. Which, to each their own.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't do well speaking when you're, struggling, but
he's already not looking real good.
No, he's looking real bad.
On Friday, December 18th, 2009, Josh took Charlie and Braden to his father, Stephen's house, who lived 13 hours away in Puyallup, Washington, for the holidays, he said. But literally, as soon as the holidays were over, that move became permanent.
Whoa.
Josh was fired from his job, so he packed up what was left in the home and decided to put it up for rent. If that doesn't scream, my wife is never coming home...
Yeah.
I don't know what does. If she is missing, let's say somebody kidnapped her. Should she be able to get away, where would you go?
Back to your home.
Back to your home.
Yeah.
So, for you to just pack up everything immediately and leave?
Yep, that's to assume that she's not coming back home.
Right. About a month later, on Monday, February 15th, 2010, Susan's family held a press conference and announced to the world that Susan planned on ending her relationship with Josh because he had been physically abusive at least once and was very controlling. Because of this, they also announced on that day the official creation of the Susan Cox Powell Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that provides support for family members of missing and or abused persons and education to help prevent domestic violence, including recognizing early signs of abuse.
Well, that's awesome.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
Meanwhile, volunteer search parties are looking everywhere trying to find Susan, both near their home and at the campground. Nothing is turning up. And this is where shit just gets fucking stupid, if it hasn't already.
Yeah, no, it's already pretty stupid, but okay.
On Monday, December 6, 2010, almost the 1-year anniversary, all right, to the day of when Susan went missing, Josh and his father, Stephen, decide to make a public claim to the media that they know what happened to Susan.
Do what?
They said that she ran away with some guy named Stephen Kocher, who was a Utah native that went missing around the same time she did, and said that they were having an affair and decided to take off to Brazil to start a new life.
Oh my God.
But there's literally zero evidence to back up this theory. Like, none.
Well, yeah.
The fucking audacity of these two.
Yes.
How do you go from my wife and the mother of my children are missing to she ran away with some dude?
Yeah. And a year later you come forward. Why wouldn't you immediately, if that were the case, if there were a connection, be like, she was seeing this dude, they might have run away together.
Exactly. But a year later. And to do it, with the media outlets.
Yeah, that's even creepier. Instead of, going to the cops, you know.
Then about 6 months later, in July of 2011, Josh and Stephen Powell are at it again and publicly announced plans to post parts of Susan's private journals online to the public.
Oh my God.
They said that they were going to basically prove their innocence in these journals, that they had nothing to do with her disappearance, and that she was a cheating wife.
Holy
but everyone
shit.
knew it was bullshit.
Well, yeah, good. I'm glad that they did.
Everyone.
Use your brains, people.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, police were like, great, you have private journals of somebody that's missing. Can you hand those over? Because they may help us find her.
Yeah.
And they were like, nope, no, you can't have them.
What the fuck?
But the police were pretty smart. And in August of 2011, the family and the police got together and they set up multiple stop and waves. One of them was on the corner of Josh and Stephen's home, which is basically where you put up the sign that says, honk and wave, we're trying to find Susan. Honk if you support us. Honk if you... Yeah. They knew that it would draw them out of the house. Yeah. Because it would piss them off. And they would say something about the journals being in their house, and police could use that to get a warrant to get them.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And it worked.
Thank God.
Stephen, Josh's dad, could not fucking help himself and came out and made a whole scene about it and was like, we've got the journals inside. We've got them right now. I can expose the truth. So police got a warrant for the home to find these journals. And they found so much more than that.
Oh.
About a month after this, though, Susan's best friend, Kiersey, and Josh's own sister revealed, notice I said revealed, not claimed, revealed, Stephen Powell, Josh's dad,
Yeah.
was sexually harassing Susan and was obsessed with her. Kiersey said, quote, "She told me that part of the reason they moved to Utah was to get away from her father-in-law. She was like, he is the most filthy, foul, sick, disgusting pervert the world has ever seen, and he's in love with me."
Ugh.
And at first he denied this. But then ABC interviewed him, and he was quoted as saying, "I shared a father-in-law, daughter-in-law flirting with Susan, and maybe some sexual touching or whatever, and I enjoyed it.
What?
I enjoyed it, frankly. She did it, I did it. There's no question in my mind that the feelings were mutual."
Ew.
Meanwhile, police are still doing massive searches along with cadaver dogs, trying to find any piece of Susan, and can't find anything. Mm-hmm. But back to that search warrant that they get for Stephen Powell's home. They search it on September 22nd, 2011, and found the motherlode of evidence that Stephen Powell was indeed a sexual predator. There were home videos taken by Stephen Powell that showed secret and sexual recordings of Susan and her body parts.
Oh my God.
Like, if she was to walk down the hallway,
right,
he would zoom in on her butt when she walked by.
Ew.
If she was sitting in a chair and she goes to cross her legs, he would zoom in on her legs and her crotch area. He would zoom in on her breast area.
Like, and she didn't realize that she was being recorded, I take it.
In these recordings, no. Yeah. It's very clear that he's doing this secretly.
Okay.
But we'll get more to does she know in a bit. In these video diaries, he also records himself stealing and smelling her underwear, expressing his love and sexual feelings for her, saying, "God, I worship her. God, I want her." He would show up at her job and sit in the parking lot and film her walking to and from her car.
The fuck?
Talking about, "She looks so hot today."
Creep alert, creep alert.
Oh, and they found, I'm talking a mountain of Ziploc bags full of her nail clippings, used underwear, used tampons,
ew,
makeup remover wipes, anything that she had used, he was keeping.
That's used tampons.
Used tampons.
That's disgusting, dude.
And not only that, but police did find computer disks containing thousands of images of young girls and women undressing, using the bathroom, clearly without their knowledge, and 2 of the girls in the pictures were his neighbors and were only 8 and 10 years old.
8 and 10?
So, in November 2011, Stephen Powell was arrested for voyeurism and possession of child pornography.
Good.
And Josh was named a subject, which is interesting.
It is interesting, but, maybe the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly. In regards to the night Susan went missing, Stephen did have an alibi, though. He was at home in Washington State with 3 of his children there as witnesses.
Okay.
So as far as her going missing, he physically did not have anything to do with it the night she went missing.
Right.
But that doesn't excuse him from any of the other bullshit they found.
No, it doesn't. Not even a little bit.
And because of all this, Josh lost custody of Charlie and Braden, and they were placed in state custody. But very quickly, Susan's parents, Chuck and Judy Cox, jumped in and filed in court to get custody of the children.
Good for them.
After just 2 days in court, the judge granted them temporary custody with an official custody hearing scheduled for a few months later.
Okay.
During the custody hearing, which was held in February of 2012, the judge ruled that Charlie and Braden will remain with Chuck and Judy, but because of all the porn stuff going on with his dad and everything else, he needed to have a psychosexual evaluation by a court-appointed examiner and a lie detector test.
Okay.
Because also, literally the day before the hearing, police also found hundreds of disturbing images on Josh's computer, including simulated child pornography in cartoon form, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yep.
Bestiality and incest.
Yeah, cartoon porn is very much a fucking thing, and it weirds me out. No offense if you're into that, I don't get it.
I don't either, but apparently that was on the computer.
Okay.
So while the results of the evaluation that Josh took said that he had narcissistic personality traits, which we could have told you that from the beginning.
1,000%. But a narcissist is really, really hard to diagnose.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Well, even aside from that, they also somehow concluded that he had, quote, adequate parenting skills, had steady employment with his job, and no previous criminal record.
Okay.
So based on that, the examiner recommended that Josh still be allowed to have visitation with the kids, but supervised visits every week. And that is what brings us to that murder-suicide. On Sunday, February 5th, 2012, a social worker named Elizabeth Griffin brought the boys to Josh's home in Washington for their very first supervised visit.
You gotta be joking me.
The kids ran inside into the house. You know, they see Daddy, they get excited. As soon as they ran into the house, Josh slammed the door and locked the social worker out, and so she proceeded to call 911.
Reporting.
Hey, I'm on a supervised visitation for a court-ordered visit, and something really weird has happened. The kids went into the house, and the parent, the biological parent, whose name is Josh Powell, will not let me in the door. What should I do?
What's the address?
It's 8119, and I think it's 89th. I don't know what the address is.
Okay, that's pretty important for me to know.
Sorry, I can't. Just a minute. Let me get in my car and see if I can find it. Nothing like this has ever happened before at these visitations, so I'm really shocked. And I could hear one of the kids crying, but he still wouldn't let me in. Okay, it is just a minute. I have it here. You can't find me by GPS?
No.
Okay, it is, I still can't find it. But I think I need help right away. He's on a very short lease with CSHS, and CPS has been involved. And this is the craziest thing. He looked right at me and closed the door. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just waiting to know where you are.
Okay. It's 8119 189th Street, Court East, Puyallup, 98375. And I'd like to pull out of the driveway because I smell gasoline and he won't let me in.
You want to pull out of the driveway because you smell gasoline, but he won't let you...
He won't let me in.
He won't let you out of the driveway?
He won't let me in the house.
Whose house
Got
is
the
it?
kids in the house and he won't let me in. It's a supervised visit.
I understand. Whose house is it?
Josh Powell.
Okay, so you don't live there, right?
No, I don't. No, I'm contracted to the state to provide supervised visitation.
I see. Okay. And who is there to exercise their visitation?
I am. And the visit is with Josh Powell.
And who
And
supervises?
he is the husband that I supervise.
So you supervise and you're doing the visit?
Yeah,
You're
I
supervising yourself?
I supervise myself. I'm the supervisor here.
Wait a minute. If it's a supervised visit, you can't supervise yourself. If you're the
I
visitor...
do supervise myself. I'm the supervisor for the supervised visit.
Okay, well, aren't you the one making the visit? Or is there another
I'm the
parent
one-
that you're supervising?
No, I'm the one that supervises. I pick up the kids at their grandparents.
Yes. And then who visits with the children?
Josh Powell.
Okay, so you're supposed to be there to supervise Josh Powell's visit with the children.
Yes, that's correct.
And how did...
And he's the husband of missing Susan Powell.
This
This is a high-profile case.
How did he gain access to the children before you got there?
I was one step in back of them.
Okay, so they
He
went
shut
into the
the
house
door
and then
in
he
my
locked you out.
Yeah, he shut the door right in my face.
All right.
This is the worst 911 call I've ever heard in my life. It is 7 minutes long. The social worker mentioned she smells gasoline. She can hear one of the kids screaming. I hope this guy got fired. I hope he got fired. While she's on the phone, Josh murdered his two boys, Charlie, who was 7, and Braden, who was 5, using a hatchet.
A hatchet?
After using the hatchet, he poured 10 gallons of gasoline inside and lit a match and set a fire and exploding the house, killing all 3 of them. This is the worst part. The official investigation would later reveal that all three actually died from carbon monoxide poisoning, meaning that they were not dead after the chopping injuries to their head and their neck.
Oh, those poor babies.
And they were found laying on the floor holding hands.
It's the worst.
I'm so sorry. Keep drinking. After the house explosion, Chuck and Judy Cox sued Washington State Department of Social Health and Services in civil court, alleging that their negligence contributed to the death of their grandsons. Like, we tried to tell you that this whole family, not even just Josh, but Steven, are sick assholes.
Right, yeah.
Something is wrong. Their mother and his wife are missing. He won't tell you any answers. He was abusive. Something bad is going to happen to these kids if you do not give us custody. And the state just kept pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. And then this happens. 3 years later. So, on October 12th, 2012, Washington State issued a 13-page report asking the question of whether Josh Powell's murder-suicide could have been prevented. And West Valley City responded, quote, "From the onset of the investigation into the disappearance of Susan Cox Powell, an emphasis was placed on the children's health, safety, and welfare." Bullshit. At no time did the West Valley City Police Department receive any indication that Josh Powell would murder his two sons. Bullshit.
I mean, hello, he's your main and only suspect in the disappearance of their mother.
On October 6th, a federal judge in Washington State dismissed the lawsuit filed by Susan Powell's parents. The couple sued Washington State, claiming that they didn't do enough. And the judge said that federal law provides social workers with absolute immunity from liability to make sure the courts and others pursue justice without fear of retribution, which I understand. But
this isn't just like, I mean, and there's so many bad things that DSS workers see, don't get me wrong, but like, this isn't like, you know, oh, well, dad's smoking a little pot and mom's not happy about it. Like, their mother is fucking missing. There is blood found. The dad is a fucking pedophile that obviously had a thing for these kids' mom. Like, in every way, these kids should not have been, like, this is like some Gabriel Hernandez shit.
Exactly.
Like, it's just like that.
Exactly. So on January 10th, 2019, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit ruled that the family of Susan Cox Powell can pursue a wrongful death lawsuit against Washington State.
Good.
Overruling the lower court's decision in an appeal.
Good.
The wrongful death trial began in February 2020 in Tacoma, Washington, but was interrupted because COVID.
Of course.
The civil case reconvened at the end of July 2020, and in August, the jury awarded the family a record $98.5 million against the State Department Social Health Services.
Round of applause.
Yes. Chuck Cox said he is going to use the reward money to honor his late grandchildren. He said, quote, "I intend to use the award to try and help other people so that we can save more children." Oh. The judge presiding over the case has since reduced the reward to $32 million, $16 million for Charlie and $16 million for Braden. The Cox family plans to appeal that court decision of reducing it, but I mean, it's still a win, so.
Yeah, it is. At least they were allowed to sue, and maybe people will take this kind of shit more seriously. You hope. You hope.
Right. But back to Susan. On Tuesday, July 3rd, 2012, court documents were released to show that Josh Powell had told a woman at a work party that, quote, "the best place to dispose of a body is down a mine shaft."
Where the crystals are.
Exactly.
What?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
A mine explorer says a mine 30 miles west of where Josh Powell claimed he went camping the night that Susan disappeared was mysteriously filled with a ton of gasoline and burned. But I mean, these mines, there's so many of them, first of all. There are tons of them.
Right.
And also, a lot of them aren't just, you can't just walk into them. A lot of them are straight up and down. And the one that he discovered that had been burned mysteriously was straight up and down and very deep. So this is still an ongoing case. They're still looking, but so far, no body.
I really hope they find her.
I hope to God they do too.
And get that family some closure, because they have been through it.
Right? Another twist to this crazy story, if it couldn't get any worse. On February 11th, 2013, Josh's brother Michael Powell, who is believed to have maybe helped Josh in Susan's disappearance, he was like Steven's favorite son, basically.
Okay. All right.
And very, very close. Like, he would keep secrets to the grave kind of a guy. And people think that he helped dispose of her body. He strangely decided to jump off of a parking garage building in Minneapolis and killed himself.
Oh my God.
Guilty much? As far as the fucking piece of garbage that Stephen Powell is, he was officially convicted on the voyeurism charges in June of 2012 and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. Initially, the judge dismissed the child pornography charges, but the state's Court of Appeals reinstated that charge in 2014. He was convicted of that in 2015 and sent to another 2 years in prison. So Stephen served a total of 7 years in prison before being released in July of 2017. In regards to questions about being involved in the disappearance of Susan, he always pleaded his Fifth Amendment right. And thank God, aside from not having any answers, he died of a heart attack in 2018. Good riddance.
Good riddance, you piece of shit.
On July 1st, 2013, West Valley City Police announced technical end to the active phase of their search for Susan at a press conference. It's 3.5 years. They're getting nowhere. They have found nothing. The West Valley City Manager, Wayne Pyle, said, quote, "We have no further active leads to develop at this point. Without a crime scene, just circumstantial evidence and no body, successful prosecution is not likely to happen." They're not giving up, but at this point, they're at a dead end.
Right. Well, I mean, there's probably not going to be any new leads because all the people that clearly were involved in this are dead.
Right. So as of today, Susan is still missing. She is presumed dead at this point. I think we can all come to that conclusion. I just pray that at some point we at least find her body so that her family can have some peace.
Right. So the Cox just have peace.
So, because this is still an active case and I am here for justice more than anything else.
Absolutely.
She was last seen December 7th, 2009 at 12:30 in the morning. She is 5'4", 130 pounds. Beautiful girl, shoulder-length brown hair, blue eyes. West Valley City Police Department is offering at least $10,000 for any information leading to finding her. And if you do know anything at all, please call them at 801-840-4000. There is a true crime documentary that came out last year on Oxygen. It's called The Disappearance of Susan Cox Powell. It's a 2-parter. If you stomached this story, congrats. But the home videos that Stephen made, they show all the clips of it on that documentary. And I can't tell you how many times I almost had to puke.
Oh, I bet.
Watching him obsess over Susan and just think he was so narcissistic and thought he was just the shit. And like the abuse that his poor kids, at least mentally, went through having a dad like that. It's hard to watch, but it gives you every ounce of information. I mean, I tried, but it's really, if you're interested in this case and you just want to learn more and see more, it was a really good docuseries, and it's by Oxygen. But I just hope we find her.
Yes, I want that so bad, because that's literally the only good thing that could come out of this.
The only thing
is some peace for people that have already lost their grandkids and a daughter.
Love our podcast? Then hit that subscribe button and leave us a review.
We're also on Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/truecrimebuzz and join today for access to all our exclusive content, including bonus episodes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TC Buzz Podcast.
And check out our website at www.truecrimebuzz.com.
Until next time, cheers!